The evening was supposed to be the happiest of Amara's life. The backyard sparkled with fairy lights, soft music played, and everyone she loved was gathered to celebrate her engagement. She stood near the stage, heart full, wearing a flowing champagne-colored gown. Her mother held her hand and smiled proudly. Amara had waited so long for this moment, to finally be chosen, to finally feel seen. The host tapped the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "it's time to introduce the bride-to-be." Amara straightened her dress, ready to step forward. "Please welcome the future Mrs. Jordan Miller." "Alina Carter." Everything stopped. For a few seconds, there was silence. Confused whispers floated in the air. Amara blinked, thinking she had misheard. But no, her cousin Alina walked confidently onto the stage, wearing the exact same dress. Her hair was styled just like Amara's. She smiled at the crowd, then reached for Jordan's hand. Amara's stomach dropped. Jordan smiled too. He didn't even look at Amara. The applause was slow and awkward. People turned to each other, asking what was going on. Amara stood frozen. Her hands trembled. Her mother gasped and clutched her chest. "Jordan!" Amara called, her voice shaky. He looked at her for just a moment, then looked away. Tears welled in her eyes as realization hit. She had been replaced. And not just by anyone, by her own cousin. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered loud and sharp, like her heart. Amara turned and ran. She didn't care who saw. She just needed to breathe. Behind her, the music started again, as if nothing had happened. Amara Carter was 29 years old. She worked as a corporate lawyer in a well-known firm in Atlanta. She was quiet, strong, and always calm on the outside. But inside, Amara carried a lot of pain. She had spent her whole life trying to prove that she was good enough. Raised by a single mother, she had learned to be independent early. Her father had passed away when she was young, and her mother had done her best to raise her right. When Amara was 12, her aunt and uncle died in a car accident, and her cousin, Alina, came to live with. Alina was the same age as Amara, but very different. Where Amara was shy and serious, Alina was outgoing, bold, and beautiful. People loved Alina easily. She had a bright smile, and she always knew what to say. At first, they were close. They did everything together. But as they grew older, the differences between them became clear. Alina was always the one boys noticed. She always got more attention at family gatherings. Amara often felt like she had to step aside for Alina. And the worst part was that Alina knew it, and sometimes used it. Still, Amara kept her distance and focused on school and work. She studied hard, became a lawyer, and built a good career. She didn't have many close friends, but she was respected at her job. Her life was quiet and stable. Then came Jordan. Amara met Jordan Miller at a legal tech conference 2 years ago. He was tall, charming, and smooth-talking. He owned a startup that worked with law firms, and he had a way of making people feel special. When he asked Amara out, she couldn't believe it. He was the first man who made her feel truly seen. Their relationship moved fast. Jordan said he loved how smart she was. He called her his peace, his safe place. Amara started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she had finally won. After a year, he proposed quietly. They planned to surprise their families with an announcement at the engagement party. By then, Amara and Alina were no longer speaking. 6 months before the party, they had a fight over their late grandfather's house, a beach house that was left to Amara. Alina believed it should have gone to both of them. Harsh words were said. They hadn't talked since. Amara's mother had tried to keep the peace between them, but it hadn't worked. Family is still family, she would say. But Amara didn't agree. Not anymore. That night at the party, Amara thought everything was finally falling into place. She believed she had found someone who loved her for who she was. She thought she had left all the jealousy and pain behind. But she was wrong. Now, after being replaced in front of everyone she knew, Amara had to face a painful truth. Her cousin had taken something from her again. And this time, it wasn't just attention, it was her future. Everything she had worked for, the love, the trust, the new beginning, had fallen apart in one night. And deep down, Amara knew this wasn't just about the man. It was about a lifetime of being made to feel small. Now, she had to decide what to do with all that pain. Would she break under it? Or would she rise? The morning after the engagement party, Amara woke up with swollen eyes and a heavy heart. She hadn't slept much. She kept replaying the moment in her head, the name being called, the look on Jordan's face, Alina's smile. It felt like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. She picked up her phone, hoping for a message from Jordan. An explanation. An apology. Anything. But instead, she saw something else. Jordan had posted a photo on Instagram from the party. He was holding Alina's hand, both of them smiling. The caption read, "Found my forever. Hashtag AJ 2025". Amara stared at the screen. Her hands began to shake. She had been completely erased, like she was never part of his life at all. She called his number. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Still nothing. Later that afternoon, her best friend Nicole came over with coffee and a worried look. Nicole had been at the party too. "I can't believe what happened," she said, hugging Amara. "I didn't even know what to do. Are you okay?" Amara shook her head. "No. I feel like I'm losing my mind." Nicole sat beside her. "Look, I didn't want to tell you this last night, but I've seen them together before. A few months ago. At a restaurant. I thought it was just a business thing, but now I'm not so sure." Amara's heart sank. "You think it's been going on that long?" Nicole looked down. "I think they've been seeing each other behind your back." The truth hit like a slap. Amara stood up, pacing the room. "How could I be so blind?" she whispered. She went into her files, digging out a document Jordan had asked her to review months ago. It was a prenup draft, detailed and oddly specific. He told her it was just for a business partner who was getting married soon, but now she wasn't so sure. She read it again slowly. The name of the property listed jumped out at her. Her father's beach house. The one Alina had fought her over. Amara froze. Jordan had lied. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning something. He had made her look at her own property in a legal document, pretending it was for someone else. Her mind raced. Could they have been working together? Did Alina know this whole time? Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, something else burned underneath anger. She felt used, betrayed, played, and for the first time since the party, she wasn't crying anymore. She was thinking, if they were after the house, if this was all about money and property, then she wasn't just heartbroken. She was in danger of losing something real, something her father left for her. Amara sat down and started writing notes. She opened her laptop and searched her firm's database. She pulled records, emails, financial documents. Something deep inside her had shifted. They had crossed the line. Now she would fight back. Amara spent the next few days in silence, sitting at her kitchen table with papers spread everywhere. She was looking at property documents, emails Jordan had forwarded, and the prenup draft again and again. The more she read, the more things started to make sense, and also feel worse. Jordan and Alina hadn't just betrayed her in love. They were trying to take something that didn't belong to them. Her father's beach house, the last thing he left her, was in the center of their plan. The house in Tybee Island was her safe place. She hadn't been there in over a year, but she remembered every part of it. The porch swing, the old blue shutters, her father's toolbox still sitting in the shed. It wasn't just a house. It was home, and now they were trying to take it. Amara went to work, but she wasn't the same. Her coworkers noticed she was quiet, distracted. Her mentor at the law firm, Diane, pulled her aside. "You don't have to tell me everything," Diane said gently, "but I see something is breaking you. Whatever it is, take your time, and remember, you're not powerless." Those words stayed with Amara. Back at home, she started making calls. She hired a private investigator to look into Jordan's finances and business history. What came back shocked her. Jordan was in debt. His startup was failing. He had been using investor money for personal expenses. One of those expenses was a large renovation quote submitted for the Tybee Beach house, dated before the engagement party. That's when Amara knew for sure. They had planned everything. She took legal action. First, she sent Jordan a cease and desist letter for misusing her legal services. She had unknowingly reviewed documents connected to a plan to steal from her. Then she contacted her family lawyer to protect the house. A civil case was opened for attempted fraud and emotional distress. News traveled fast. One of Amara's uncles called her. He had always favored Alina. "Why are you dragging family matters into court?" he snapped. "Because they made it a crime," Amara replied, and her mother was torn. "I never thought Alina would go this far," she said, sitting on Amara's couch with a tired look. "But maybe I didn't want to see it." Amara felt alone, but also clearer than she had in a long time. The next blow came when Alina went on social media, sharing photos of her and Jordan with captions about healing from a toxic relationship. People in the comments attacked Amara, calling her jealous, bitter, dramatic. Amara wanted to scream, but she didn't. She saved the posts and sent them to her lawyer. A few days later, she was called to mediation. Jordan and Alina arrived late, acting calm, even smug. Alina didn't look at her. Jordan smiled like nothing had happened. Amara kept her head high. "I know what you did," she said softly, as papers were handed across the table. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jordan said with a smirk. "That prenup you asked me to review? It was about my property. You lied. That's malpractice. I've already filed." His face shifted slightly, but he said nothing. Amara continued, her voice steady. "You forged financial documents, Jordan. You used me to cover your tracks. I've submitted everything to the ethics board." He laughed, but it was nervous now. Alina glanced at him, uncertain. After the meeting, Amara walked out into the hallway and leaned against the wall. Her heart was pounding, but she didn't cry. Nicole met her outside with a coffee. "You're doing the right thing. Why does it still feel so heavy?" Amara asked. "Because it's your heart," not just your house. In the weeks that followed, more truth came out. The private investigator found that Jordan had taken out a hidden loan using fake business income. His company was being investigated. Investors started backing out. Alina's Instagram went quiet. One night, Amara sat in therapy and finally said it out loud. I loved someone who used me, and I loved a cousin who never really loved me back. Her therapist nodded. You're grieving two people at once. Amara cried, but it wasn't just from pain. It was release. A slow, quiet kind of strength was growing inside her. Every day, she put one piece of her life back together. And now, she wasn't just reacting. She was preparing for the storm to come. The courtroom was quiet, except for the soft turning of papers and the ticking of a clock on the wall. Amara sat at the front, dressed in a navy blue suit, her hair pulled back. Her lawyer sat beside her, calm and focused. Across from them sat Jordan and Alina. Jordan looked thinner, less confident than usual. Alina had her arms crossed, her eyes cold. She didn't glance at Amara even once. The judge entered, and everyone stood. The trial for fraud, misuse of legal services, and emotional damages began. Amara's heart pounded, but she kept her face steady. She had prepared for this. Her evidence was strong. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was standing for everything she had lost. The first witness was the private investigator. He explained how Jordan had lied on financial forms, moved money between fake accounts, and tried to use the beach house as collateral for a fake investment. Then came the emails. Amara had saved everything. Messages where Jordan asked her to review legal documents without telling her the full truth. Screenshots of the fake prenup. The judge's face grew tighter with each new piece of proof. Finally, it was time for Amara to speak. She walked slowly to the witness stand. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was clear. I trusted Jordan, she said. I loved him. I thought we were building a life together. I believed he saw me, really saw me. But I was wrong. She paused, trying to keep her voice from breaking. He used my knowledge as a lawyer against me. He used my family against me. And worst of all, he made me doubt myself. The courtroom was silent. Even Alina looked down for a moment. Then Jordan's lawyer stood and tried to twist the story. He said Amara was jealous, that she was bitter because Jordan chose Alina, that she was angry about a broken heart. Amara stayed calm. I'm not here because my heart was broken, she said, looking straight at the lawyer. I'm here because they tried to steal something that belonged to me. I'm here because they thought I would stay quiet. Later that day, the judge gave the ruling. Amara won the case. She was granted full ownership of the beach house. Jordan and Alina were ordered to pay damages. But that wasn't all. As the courtroom cleared out, one of the investors from Jordan's company, who had been watching the trial, approached a reporter and gave a statement. By the next morning, news had spread. Jordan was being investigated by the state for fraud and investor deception. He was arrested 2 weeks later. Alina went silent online. Her followers dropped. She didn't respond to any calls from the family. But Amara got something she never expected. A package arrived at her office. No return name. Inside was a leather notebook, Alina's journal. Amara opened it carefully. Page after page was filled with messy handwriting, long entries, and raw emotions. Alina had written about feeling unloved since childhood, always in Amara's shadow despite seeming like the favorite. She wrote about Jordan, how he had promised her everything, how he told her she was the real one. And then, one line hit Amara like a punch. I thought the baby would make him stay. But I lost it. I lost everything. Amara sat frozen. Alina had been pregnant, and she had miscarried. No one had told her. Suddenly, the story changed in Amara's mind. Alina hadn't just stolen. She had been desperate. She had been broken, too. That night, Amara sat alone on her balcony, the journal in her lap. The city lights blinked in the distance. She didn't know what to do with the new truth. But for the first time, she felt something close to peace. The war was over. And even though there were still scars, she had won more than the case. She had won herself back. Amara took a long breath as she stood outside the Tybee Island beach house. The air smelled like salt and old memories. The house looked just like she remembered, little worn but still beautiful. This time, she wasn't here to escape. She was here to let go. She had decided to sell it. Not because she didn't love it, but because holding on to it felt too heavy now. Too full of pain, of fights, of betrayal. She wanted a fresh start. The buyers were a young couple who planned to turn it into a family home. Amara smiled when they talked about kids playing in the sand and dinners on the porch. She knew the house would be in good hands. She kept a few things: her father's old watch, a small photo of the two of them on the front steps, her mother's cookbook from the kitchen drawer. With the money from the sale, Amara donated a large amount to a legal nonprofit that helps women who've suffered financial abuse. She also took a few months off from work. She traveled alone for the first time in her life, to Mexico, then Spain, and finally to Cape Town. In each place, she walked slowly. She read books by the ocean. She sat in silence and listened to her heart. And little by little, she began to heal. She didn't check Alina's social media anymore. She didn't ask about Jordan's trial, though she knew he had been sentenced to 3 years in prison. That chapter was closed. She had no interest in reopening it. When she returned home to Atlanta, she felt lighter. She smiled more. Her apartment felt warmer. At a legal retreat hosted by her firm, she met someone. His name was Marcus. He was a quiet type, kind eyes, thoughtful questions, and no rush in his voice. They talked for hours, but this time, Amara didn't give away too much. Not yet. She was taking things slow. One day, during a walk in the park, Marcus asked her, "What changed you?" Amara looked at the sky for a moment. Then she said softly, "I stopped trying to be chosen. I started choosing myself." And she meant it. She no longer needed to prove anything. Not to her family, not to a man, not to the past. She had lost love, yet, but she had found peace. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. Amara's apartment was filled with soft music and warm laughter. It was a small dinner, just close friends and her mother. The dining table was full of food, candles flickered gently, and the air felt light, peaceful. She moved around the kitchen with ease, smiling, laughing, pouring drinks, and checking the oven. It had been months since the court case, and even longer since the engagement party that changed everything. But tonight, she didn't feel broken. She felt whole. Nicole clinked her glass. "To Amara," she said, "for surviving what would have crushed most people, and doing it with grace." Everyone raised their glasses. Amara blushed, then stood up slowly, looking around the table. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for staying, for not letting me fall apart." Her voice shook just a little. "I thought I lost everything that night," she continued, "but I didn't. I lost people who were never really mine, and I found the ones who are." Her mother smiled through tears. Nicole reached out and squeezed her hand. Later, when everyone left and the apartment grew quiet again, Amara sat alone by the window, a cup of tea in her hand. She looked out at the night sky, calm, endless, full of stars. She thought about Alina, about Jordan, about pain that had nearly drowned her, and she thought about how far she'd come. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need to be right. She had peace. And in that quiet moment, she understood something deeply. Being replaced didn't break her. It freed her. Because what she found, in the end, wasn't just justice. She found herself. Hey besties, thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more drama-filled stories. Coming up next, her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip. So she booked one seat beside the bride's fiancé, and what happened on that flight changed everything. Don't miss it. See you in the next one. Bye.